The chandelier light trembled slightly as the first plate shattered, and in that instant the entire restaurant seemed to inhale at once, as if sensing that something irreversible was about to happen. What had begun as an ordinary evening of fine dining, quiet ambition, and polished smiles was about to collapse into fear, courage, and a truth no one at that table was prepared to face. 3 men moved with practiced intent, eyes cold, steps synchronized, and a powerful CEO suddenly found herself trapped in a moment where wealth, influence, and status meant absolutely nothing. Before the story pulls you deeper into that night, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength hidden inside ordinary people, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to support stories that remind us what humanity still looks like. The restaurant was one of those places where success gathered to admire itself, with gold-framed mirrors reflecting tailored suits, silk dresses, and crystal glasses filled with confidence. The CEO sat near the center of the room, a woman who had built an empire from relentless focus and sleepless nights, her presence commanding respect without effort. She was used to being watched, but not like this. Not with the kind of hunger that crept across the faces of the 3 men now circling her table, pretending to be patrons while their patience thinned by the second. Around her, conversations blurred into background noise, unaware that danger had already entered the room. At a nearby table sat a man who did not belong to this world of polished ambition. His shirt was clean but worn, his tie slightly loose, his posture tired in a way that only single parents carry. He was a single father who had come to the restaurant for reasons far removed from luxury, invited by a colleague to celebrate a small promotion that barely kept his life afloat. His thoughts were not on wine or applause but on his daughter at home, asleep with her homework half finished, trusting him to keep the world steady for her. Years earlier, life had stripped him down to essentials through loss, responsibility, and silent endurance, forging skills he never spoke about because survival does not need applause. The first man struck the table with a hard shove, sending silverware clattering, and panic rippled outward like a shockwave. The second blocked the exits with calculated calm, while the third reached into his jacket with a threat heavy enough to silence the room. Fear settled thick and suffocating as diners froze, unsure whether to run or hide, unsure whether anyone could stop what was clearly an organized attack. The CEO felt the air leave her lungs, not because she feared death, but because she realized how alone power truly was when stripped of protection. The single father did not move at first. He watched, measured, and remembered. He remembered nights when fear had knocked on his own door, when he had learned to stay calm because panic only made things worse. He remembered lessons from a life before this one, a chapter he had closed quietly after promising his daughter a safer world. He scanned the room, noting angles, distances, weight shifts, and the subtle tells that revealed which man would move first. While others saw chaos, he saw patterns. As one of the attackers lunged forward, intent on forcing compliance, something shifted. A chair tipped not by accident but by design, disrupting balance and momentum. The single father moved with a precision that did not belong to desperation but to training, redirecting force rather than meeting it, using the environment as an ally rather than a hazard. Another attacker rushed in, fueled by anger and surprise, only to find himself neutralized by timing that left no room for retaliation. The third hesitated, and hesitation was the one mistake fear never forgives. The room erupted into stunned silence broken only by heavy breathing and the distant hum of chandeliers. What had felt like an eternity lasted less than a minute, but in that minute everything changed. The attackers were restrained, their plan dismantled by a man who returned to his seat not as a hero demanding recognition, but as a father who simply wanted to go home alive. The CEO stared at him, seeing not just courage but humility, the rare kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are without needing the world to confirm it. Authorities arrived, questions followed, and gratitude poured in from every direction, but the single father remained untouched by praise. He declined attention, offered only a brief explanation, and asked that his name not become a headline. What mattered to him was that everyone walked out alive, that the world stayed just a little safer than it had been an hour before. The CEO later learned fragments of his story, enough to understand that the strongest people are often the quietest, and that leadership is not always about commanding rooms but about standing up when no one else can. In the days that followed, the CEO made choices that surprised her board and herself. She restructured security not just for power but for people, redirected resources toward community programs, and quietly ensured that the single father's life changed for the better, not as a reward but as recognition of character. He never asked for help, but help arrived anyway, reshaping his future and his daughters without stripping him of dignity. Just before this story reaches its end, I have a small request. Please comment below with a word or phrase that captures what this story made you feel, because your voice keeps stories like this alive. On a quiet evening weeks later, the single father tucked his daughter into bed, kissed her forehead, and felt the rare peace of knowing that the world had not taken everything from him. Somewhere across the city, a CEO looked out over the skyline with a renewed understanding of power, humility, and gratitude. And somewhere between fear and courage, 3 men learned that strength does not always announce itself, and that the smallest table in the room can hold the greatest force. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness, courage, and hidden strength still exist in this world, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach those who need them most. Sometimes, the people who save us are the ones we almost never notice, and sometimes, believing in that truth is enough to change everything.